I grew up in a small town where everyone knew each other. With a total population of maybe 2,000, it was a safe place, predominantly middle-class families, and low crime rates. This sense of security was ingrained, especially considering I grew up in the 90s. One summer day, my friend Jenny and I, both around 11 or 12, were out biking. Our range was anywhere within town, provided we didn't leave and wore our helmets. There was a new road under construction connecting to neighborhoods. The road was nearly finished, lacking only paving and painting. Curious, we biked down this gravel road, about a kilometer long. Halfway down, we encountered a man in his early 30s. He smiled and struck up a conversation, claiming to be a photographer scouting models for a postcard company, flattering us. He said we had potential as models. Excited, we agreed to his photo session using a disposable camera. As he snapped away, I felt a hint of unease but brushed it off. Later, at dinner, I excitedly told my parents about our modeling opportunity. Concerned, they contacted Jenny's parents, and both families reported the incident to the police. Despite the unsettling feeling, the authorities downplayed it, saying nothing criminal had occurred. Months later, Jenny and I, now more cautious, were walking when a minivan approached. The friendly-looking woman inside asked for directions, claiming to have seen us on a postcard and even knew our names. She insisted we hop in, but our instincts screamed danger. Jenny noticed something alarming inside the van and screamed for us to run. We bolted off the road, through fields, and sought refuge at a teacher's house, where we shared our terrifying encounter. Jenny claimed she saw the photographer from the previous summer. Crouching in the back of the van, the police were called, descriptions given, but the culprits were never found. Those incidents left us wary of strangers, instilling lifelong lessons about safety. I've since had nightmares about potential kidnappings. It's crucial to teach children that not all strangers, no matter how friendly, are safe. I fervently hope to never encounter those individuals again. I live in a small college town with 6 other girls in their 20s. The city isn't the safest, plagued by homelessness and drugs, making break-ins a common concern. Last Saturday, something peculiar occurred. My roommates, some boyfriends, and I were at home, drinking and hanging out. Around 1 a.m., 2 of the girls returned from a bar, and we all headed to our respective rooms, tired from the night. Later that night, I woke up to someone entering my room, staring at me, assuming it was one of my roommate's boyfriends checking if we were still up for more partying. I feigned sleep to avoid disturbance. The person eventually left my room, pacing the hallway. They attempted to enter my roommate's room but found it locked. Her boyfriend's shout startled the intruder, who dashed upstairs and fled. Police were called, but a search yielded nothing. Break-ins were common in the area, but what made this chilling was that nothing was stolen. My belongings, phone, alcohol, and $600 worth of shoes remained untouched. The intruder seemed sober, moving silently and purposefully. He gained access because the girls returning from the bar hadn't locked the door. I'm unsure of his intentions, but I'm grateful my boyfriend happened to be with me that night. A rarity since he lives 3 hours away. It sends shivers thinking about a stranger in my room and what could have happened if I were alone. I've never shared this with anyone, not even my parents or those close to me. I'm a 22-year-old guy, and this incident occurred between the ages of 14 and 15. My friends and I used to frequent the local mall during our free time. On this particular day, I arrived earlier than my friends and settled in a seating area at the food court. Engrossed in my phone, it was a common spot for anyone to sit. Suddenly, a man in his late 50s to early 60s sat across from me. Initially, His inquiry about my frequent visits to the mall seemed harmless. He introduced himself. And oddly, his first name matched my dad. At first, everything seemed normal. I'm a social person. So, engaging in conversation with an older man didn't seem odd. As we chatted, he oddly mirrored my interests, claiming he shared hobbies like fishing at the local lake and making music, traits I mentioned. But, as the conversation continued, a strange feeling crept in. Each detail he offered seemed like an attempt to win me over. He invited me to the lake, disclosed living close by, and even invited me to play his piano, providing specific directions from the mall. Within minutes, his eagerness to hang out made me uncomfortable. Talking to him triggered a primal instinct that something was amiss. After 5 or 10 minutes, I lied about my friend's arrival. Excusing myself from the conversation, he reluctantly bid me farewell. Weeks passed, and each time I visited the mall with my friends, I noticed him in passing. It felt odd, but I brushed it off, assuming he was just a mall regular. However, one day after leaving the mall, I got home, and my mom, visibly concerned, showed me footage from our security cameras. Approximately 20 minutes after I got home, the same man approached our house. He peered through our front door, walked around the house, out of the camera's view, and then returned to peek in again before leaving. I felt sick realizing he'd been watching my house. When my mom asked, I played it off as a potential homeless or drugged person due to our busy street. We installed more security cameras afterward, but I never admitted recognizing him from the mall. Thankfully, he never returned, and we eventually moved to another part of the city. I haven't seen him since and hope I never do. I'm from the UK, so to give context, back in 2016, during the height of the killer clown craze, I found myself walking alone through the woods around 10 p.m. It was pitch black, and the only source of light was the flash on my phone. I was on my way to a secluded party in a forested area. As I traversed a long, unmarked stretch within the woods, I heard something to my left. Turning, I spotted a shadowy figure, perched on a fallen log. I couldn't discern if it was just a play of shadows or an actual person. Due to the moonlight, mistakenly, I shone my phone's light directly at it and was instantly petrified. There, in the midst of the woods, stood a towering man dressed as a clown with eerie face paint and the creepiest grin I'd ever seen. Panicking, I attempted to call several people as I passed him, but then I heard him rising behind me. Without hesitation, I sprinted toward the end of the wooded stretch, reaching a path bordered by a barbed wire fence. During my sprint, I feigned a conversation on the phone, all the while hearing his pursuit. There was no way I would dare glance back. Upon reaching the path, I swiftly vaulted over the fence, slicing my hands in the process. Turning, I kept running backward, my eyes fixed on the clown behind the fence, grinning eerily. I didn't halt until I reached the safety of the party, but the fear lingered for a long time. It's important to note the prevalent rumors at that time, especially regarding people being harmed by individuals disguised as clowns. I'll never ascertain if that man had malicious intent, or was merely aiming to frighten, but living through that experience was undeniably unnerving. So, to the clown lurking in the woods, let's avoid a repeat.